Hello friends, welcome back to another analysis for my crypto predictions. Remember guys, I told you I made Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum and XRP. We're going to be covering all of these four predictions. Let's see how the days, what is going on really in the last few days. So let's start with this one, right? Bitcoin. So we had that for these past days and for part of the last week, Bitcoin was especially rising in the first couple days, like in the first 1 to 3 days. But after that, it's just kind of stagnating into a range. In fact, we could say that some of that already happened around maybe some of the 2nd of January. But right here we have, this is the 3rd of January, this is the 4th, and this is today, which is the 5th of January. And all of these days have been in a range. That means the range is going, the price is going up and down, up and down. Now, there's not a lot of volatility. This is basically a range. As far as crypto goes, it's going to be very rare to find an extremely perfect range like we see right here on the very, very strange pattern right here on the 29th of December. But this is still a range considering the price is just basically bouncing up and up on this same level, same range of the price. So I was originally thinking that this will be kind of more tending towards a correction. I knew the first days were going to be volatile. That's why there's a yellow circle. But I thought that the next, right after this date, which will be January 3rd, it will be the start of a correction. Now, we didn't see really that correction. We see maybe the price kind of stagnates on the 4th and maybe on parts of the 3rd of January. But other than that, we don't see like a very, very powerful correction, maybe 5% down, something like 4% down. So that's good news because this also goes into the hidden pattern that I once told you, but it's a hidden pattern that it just basically rules 2 halves of the month. But yeah, this is of course to be expected. Now, as we go by, I think that the chances of seeing the range will eventually collapse. And there's, at least for Bitcoin, this next red box, 6th to the 7th of January. So we can maybe expect some corrections right here. But at the same time, there's also this other box that shares these days. So either we're going to be having a very volatile couple days, tomorrow and after that, and this volatility could go, for example, one day up, one day completely down, something like that. And in the worst case scenario, like in the most boring scenario possible, we could see maybe this pattern right here of this range continue, maybe with slightly more volatility, but at the end of the day, it will be still very hard to decide because there's basically both energies colliding with these same days. Now after that, there is a potential to see maybe even more reds after that 7, maybe starting on the 8th of January, because if done wrong, in the worst possible scenario, this will connect with this other red box to the 9 to the 11. So we'll need to watch out for this. But yeah, there's still some time to see maybe some powerful pumps before we see a very, very chaotic and negative scenario, which I think will happen inevitably on the last days of the month, which again can be avoided if we see very, very nice pumps. Because right now, Bitcoin never, even at the highest level so far in the month, it has never reached 100K again. It's kind of close to it, but at the same time it's far, so it's nowhere near those levels, which by the way could be the lowest levels among the lowest levels of December. So take this into account. If this uptrend does not continue going higher, then we're going to see some trouble, especially by around these dates. Okay. Now let's take a look at Solana. Let's take a look at the differences between all these cryptocurrencies. Now for Solana, there's of course this red trend already forming. For example, you see that with Bitcoin, this is a range, right? For Solana, the same is applicable. But on the 5th of January, we're starting to see that the price really dumps high very, I mean, it's not that dramatic or anything, but look at this, it's a solid 3%, something like that. So this is not seen, we didn't see this on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin, we see the reverse is happening. It's slightly uptrend. Now with Solana, it's clearly not showing that. And Solana did actually a very good job avoiding many possible red days, consecutive red days. But at the same time, there was this box right here, 2 to the 4, which basically means lots of volatility, maybe some undecided days, which is exactly what we see, at least in the last couple of days. The same thing that I just told you for Bitcoin can apply to Solana. We have a very volatile days coming up, to the 6 to the 7. And maybe to the 8, because there's also shared by this yellow circle. We have lots of volatile days. Maybe this range can continue, maybe some undecided volatility. But after and somewhere around the 9th of January, we can see corrections, especially for Solana, because Solana is showing 2 consecutive red circles, which I think not even Bitcoin has them. So just like I told you guys in my first video about these predictions, basically the last one that I made, I told you that Solana was showing to be the worst performing cryptocurrency for this month, at least from the 4 that I'm covering right here. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's looking like it's going to be that way very, very quickly. I mean, like I told you, Solana did a very good job avoiding these potential consecutive corrections, but it's still showing not a positive outlook compared to other cryptocurrencies. That's the danger zone for Solana. Maybe we can see that if we get it right, if we get the best case scenario, we can see very powerful impulses, pumps around these days to the 7 to the 8, maybe leading up to 5%. 6% at the most, because I'm not that optimistic for Solana, to be quite honest. But yeah, that's a situation right here. Now let's take a look at the Ethereum chart. Okay, the Ethereum chart is very similar to the Bitcoin chart. We see that there was a lot more volatility right here. Not quite as a range. But I mean, I think this everything that I just said, guys, can apply to Ethereum as well. There are some key differences. For example, I told you in the very first video that Ethereum was going to be looking like the best performing asset, at least in the first days, like in the first 10 days, in the first 2 weeks of January. And that's looking like it's going to be the case, because right here, Ethereum is showing very powerful, way more volatility than Bitcoin, than Solana especially, and it's going uptrend, right? So it also avoided many of these red energies for the 3rd and the 4th of January. But maybe, it's already entering this massive range of yellow days where it's going to be extremely volatile, extremely undecided. Many of these days will be complete wildcards. We don't really have an estimate until this green box on the 8 to the 9. It could happen sooner, or maybe later on the 10, especially because it's showing like it's going to be a very, very volatile day. But other than that, it's going to be very hard to decide and to pin down an actual trend. I mean, the overall trend right here, it's going green, right? Which is good news. But maybe Ethereum will have more room to maneuver right around here, because it's showing a lot more greens than other cryptocurrencies that we just analyzed. So yeah, out of all the cryptocurrencies, I think Ethereum has the brightest outlook, at least for the first half of the month. Maybe that can change, maybe that will change, but at least until these days we are kind of covered. Now let's take a look at the final chart, which is the XRP chart, the Ripple chart. So again, very, very similar. It's still not showing a massive divergence from what I've been seeing. I mean, we see that some of these days were indeed red days. For example, we see that the 3rd of January was kind of yellowish, but the 4th was a red day, and the 5th of December, it's technically a yellow day, but it's tending, I think, slightly towards the downtrend, right? So already, like I told you guys, I predicted all of this. I told you expect some corrections from the 2nd to the 5th of January. So far, we see that the worst correction right here, which will be start right here on the later part of the day of the 3rd of January, to the lowest of the 5th of January, is basically almost 7% loss. So this is quite significant. This is very significant. At the same time, we have this massive pump, which is basically 13%, maybe double than that. So, like I told you guys in the very first video, I mean, I knew this was going to be. I mean, there's high chances of a red month. Anything can happen. It's very early still, but it's showing like it's going to be the case. But I am really surprised, and I'm really very pleasantly surprised by these very powerful pumps for all cryptocurrencies. I mean, out of all on all the ones that I'm analyzing, maybe there's one obscure meme coin or whatever that is just going south downhill nonstop. But at least for these 4 cryptocurrencies, this massive pump really brings a nice breath of air, a nice refreshing kind of moment to take a break, because I think the pain is going to really set in as we near the half of the month. And after that, there's still some chances to see some powerful uptrends. But remember, guys, this is the hidden pattern that I told you, that I have been always telling you about. This right here, the last circle is red. Every chart shows this. So be very careful about this. Very careful. At least for the moment, for the time being. Maybe take some profits if you want, but I'm just staying put. My personal choice is that I'm just staying put, unless I see a really big pump where Bitcoin reaches again the 100k range and XRP goes to similar levels from the all-time high that I achieved somewhere around, I think was November, or December, I don't know. But yeah, something like this, because look at this. XRP has been sleeping. I mean, it's just not non-stop sleeping. But yeah, it's looking like almost everything that I told you can apply to almost all cryptocurrencies. There are some key differences. You're already noticing them. You're already seeing how everything that I just predicted has their own quality to each cryptocurrency and how it's really panning out, right? So that's all I have to say. The final invitation to invite you all to subscribe, share, like, and give me your comments. I always read them. And until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.